The Liberty held on in the final seconds to beat Caitlin Clark and the Fever out in Indiana. Shout out to Sabrina Ionescu with the huge 2 free throws for the win. Our New York Post WNBA reporter and writer, Maddie Kenney, is on. She was at Gamebridge Arena to witness the instant classic in person. Maddie, thanks for hopping on with us right now, especially in short notice. I know you got some writing and stuff to do, but that's the second close game of the season for the Liberty, and they got it done again in the clutch. Take us through everything you saw from this game. It looked like a playoff game. And the second question, is this the Liberty's, I guess, most impressive win of their early season?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it definitely gave a lot of like playoff basketball feel. You had two major swings. The Liberty went from being up by 15 to being down by 12 to then clawing their way back into the game in the fourth quarter. And the crowd was into it. It was an electric atmosphere. I was talking to Natasha Cloud after the game, and she, described it as an electric atmosphere. And those are the type of atmospheres you want to play in as a basketball player that you grow up dreaming about playing in. And so I would say, yeah, it's definitely their most impressive win of the season so far, just because of the resilience that they showed down the stretch. That third quarter was definitely concerning, the complacency that they had with the shots that they were taking. The way that Sandy Brondello described it was kind of they were all in their own heads a little bit. And they were really just playing to what the Fever wanted them to do, which is why, they were being outscored 30-13 in the third quarter. But the fact that they were able to kind of buckle down, get back to work, John Cole Jones got going in the fourth, that just shows what the type of team that this team is.
Great game. Way to close it out in the stretch. Like a defending champion team, a team that's been there before. They're supposed to do that almost. But it's kind of sucks, Maddie, because that game is kind of going to get overshadowed by that Caitlin Clark's final, I guess, shot attempt. Foul or no foul on that, and what's the Fever saying about it?
Yeah, I talked to Natasha Cloud a little bit, and she walked me through her thought process from the time before the ball was inbounded, the way that she saw the Fever were lining up. She knew that Leah Boston was kind of going to be a decoy, and she just said that she read it, and she put in her hand up and was able to swipe the ball out. She said no foul. But the Fever have a different take on it. Stephanie White said that she thought it was a foul. And so that's just like one of a few issues for the Fever. Stephanie White kind of really sounded off in her post-game press conference about the officiating that the Fever have had this season. She feels like, maybe they're not getting fair calls or the games aren't being called fairly. She pointed to a minus 31 free throw discrepancy, which that is a massive free throw discrepancy. Are the officials out to get the Fever? I don't necessarily think so. That would be very problematic if they are. And so, it'll be interesting to see how the officiating continues to go. I mean, I know officiating in the WNBA has been an issue for a long time and the point of contention. It would be nice to see if they had like a 2-minute report like the NBA does, where they go through the final 2 minutes of the game and they say what the refs got right and what the refs got wrong. I would love to see a 2-minute report on today's game, but unfortunately, WNBA doesn't do that.
Another discrepancy was that Indiana had 52 points in the paint compared to the Liberty's 42. Liberty undefeated right now, 3-0, but is that something they're going to have to clean up going forward?
I think so. That Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston pick and roll was just, they had their number all night for the Liberty. And so definitely their interior defense is something that needs to be shored up. Their rebounding in general, too, also needs to. That, you saw some box outs that weren't boxing out with the type of like oomph that you need to be able to go grab a rebound, especially in a physical game. And Indiana's a really good rebounding team, so they knew that it was going to be a battle. Did they step up to the plate? Not really, I would say. The points in the paint was something that Sandy had an issue with at halftime and had talked to the team about. But I do think that that's something that we're going to have to continue to see them get better as over the course of the season. And I also think that today's game did expose the Liberty a little bit and showed us a little bit of some of their weaknesses that they do have.
I was going to say, because, I understand like the Liberty are the defending champs, but the Indiana Fever went toe-to-toe with them just now. That game could have went either way. So is it safe to say that the Indiana Fever will be the biggest threat to the Liberty defending their crown?
Are they the biggest threat? I think it's a little too early to say, but I
Okay.
do think that they are definitely one of the threats. I mean, look at what they were able to do on an off night for Caitlin Clark. She also had an off night against the Atlanta Dream, and they won. And so I think that this is a team that is way deeper than a year ago, and they're all kind of, every team is still working on cohesion, working on building chemistry, and I think the Fever are going to be a really good team this year. They've already exceeded expectations early on, I think, for a lot of people. And so I had Fever as like the number 4 team in my power rankings entering the season and, moved them up to number 3. And I'm pretty confident that they'll probably stay in that top 4, for the rest of the season.
Either way, we've got some great basketball being played early in this WNBA season. Maddie, get back to New York safe, and thanks for hopping on with us.
Thanks so much for having me.